Good morning. How are you guys doing today? Today I want to talk about what you will do, what you would do, could do, should do if you come across a sewing machine at a secondhand store like Goodwill or Salvation Army or a yard sale or garage sale or something. What steps should you take to know if it's worth your money, and how to test it and see if it's working? And also we'll do a little troubleshooting for threading and that kind of thing once you get it home. So let's get started on this today. I'm going to actually turn the camera and face the machine, and so you won't see me talking, but I'm going to try to give you some good close-ups of the sewing machine while we're going through all the steps. For our first step, you come across the sewing machine at the secondhand store, and you want to know, how do I know if I should spend my money on this item or not? So I'm just going to point out a few things that would help me make my decision to purchase a secondhand sewing machine. It comes with a carry case. This one does, but that's not a deal breaker for me. All I want is that it can stand alone. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do when I look at a sewing machine is I'm going to check if it has the power cord. And that the power cord actually fits the sewing machine. So we're going to take this carry case away so we can see better what we're doing here. It actually has a free arm table, which I'll show you how to put that on later. And it also came with a book and some other supplies. So carry case, book, those are all nice extras, but they are kind of a nice plus when you're working with a machine you're not familiar with, if you have the book. Okay, we have the sewing machine out of the case, and we don't have power. We're at the thrift store, so we don't have power to check it. But we are gonna check if this power cord fits this sewing machine, because you never know if something got crossed. Okay, that fits in nice and snug. So number one is you have power, and you have a power cord, and it fits this sewing machine. Okay, step number two, we have no power. We're at the thrift store. We're going to check a couple other things to see if this sewing machine would make a good purchase for us. So we're going to test if the needle runs up and down. Okay, so we're going to turn it with this, which is called the flywheel. And see this? It makes a complete stroke. Up, down, up. The needle is going up and down. And as you can see, let me get you in closer there. The what's called the feeders underneath the presser foot are also moving up and down. Okay? Those are all excellent things to check for. One other thing you can check for is see if your presser foot goes up and down as well. There's a handle here on the back. Those all look like really good positive signs. The presser foot going up and down is good. That means that's not broken. It's got good tension. And by running the flywheel and this going up and down, it says that the belt is good. And you don't hear any big squeaking or squawking when you do it. So all in all, if that's all I had to go on, this is a metal machine, which tells me it's a much older machine. And I quickly Googled the name when I was at the thrift store, just to make sure it didn't, have any big flags of, oh, this is a bad machine. But it came up as an older machine with a pretty decent rating. So if that's what I had to go on at the thrift store, this machine is coming home with me, which is actually what I did. I didn't have a way to plug it in, but I checked this. I saw the book. I saw the power cord, and I knew by Googling and touching it that it was a well-built machine. So this machine came home with me. So now we get it home. What's our next step to check it. All right, we have it home. We have it out of the case. We know that the power cord fits, so we're going to put that in. We're going to place the presser foot on the ground. And we're going to plug in the machine. All right, our machine is powered up. And there's something else we need to look for. First thing, when you know the machine is plugged in, to test it for power before you ever touch the presser foot, is you want to check and find the light. Most machines come with a light. Okay, we know there's power because the light comes on. This is actually inside a nice little hinge door, which makes it really easy to access the light bulb. Believe me, that's a plus. My Bernina is not so easy to access. All right, so we're going to gently step on the presser foot and see how it goes. It actually sounds really good. It's set on Zigzag, so I'll mess with the settings a little bit. It looks like that's for straight and zigzag. Zigzag needs to be on 0. There, now it runs straight. It's nice and quiet. See, it has a bobbin threader. That turns. That unlocks so I can thread a bobbin. But it looks like maybe it doesn't unlock real. There it goes. See how it unlocked? And now the needle is not going up and down, and this is turning. That's good. That means that works correctly. So let's push that back, lock that back. I think we're ready to thread it. Now, one thing I do when I thread a new machine is I like to use a bright colored thread. All right, I have my bright colored thread. The reason I do this is so that I can easily follow the thread with my eyes while I'm threading it for the first time. And so I can see the color easily when I'm test sewing the first few times. Okay, this is the bobbin. And what you want to do is, first off, you want to figure out where it goes. So it's going to go somewhere in the lower part of this machine. Not going to go on the end. Sometimes they have a plate here that slides out, but this one actually has a little door. So we're going to pull that door down, and the bobbin holder has a little handle on it. Trying to get y'all close enough so you can see it. This little handle pops out, and you pull the whole bobbin holder out. Now, you put the thread in with it on the other side of the bobbin from the little handle on your bobbin holder. You push this in, hold it, and turn it so you can see there's a little break slice right there. Bring your thread around, put it in there, and pull it up under there until it clicks over into this area right here. If I can get it to focus for you. Alright, the thread is in there, and here's a little test tip. If you can hold your bobbin and the bobbin holder like this, and it not unspool, like slide down, then it's pretty good tension. Now, if it was loose and it just wanted to slide out, or if it felt way too tight and you couldn't easily pull this up, you would adjust it with that little screw right there. Now, when you hold this little handle, it actually locks your bobbin in to your bobbin holder, so that you can get it inside your machine without it falling out. So put the thread back over your hand and put this in, back in. Just push it in till you feel it sort of click a little bit and let go of the handle. Now, you leave your thread out, hanging out like that. Okay, we're ready to do the thread on the top of the machine. Now, as a general rule, anytime that your thread changes position on the machine, there's going to be a spot to put the thread through. The thread cannot change position without a holder. So, if you make sure the end of your thread is trimmed off and dampen it, it takes the little fuzzies and the static off the end and make it easier to put through the holes. So pull it through this one, and then I'm going to guess that it goes through this side of this one. This is the tension for your thread, your top thread, which is this thread. So it's going to be a little bit snug to put in there, but you just go and you slide it around, catch this little spring-loaded thing on this side, and come up over the catch right there. Now we're going to go back up, and I'm going to assume, based on some of my other sewing machines, that we go through that, and thinking we go straight into this eyelet hole here. You always put this at the highest position, otherwise as soon as you go to sew, it's going to unthread your needle immediately. Alright, we're going to go straight down, and like I said, anytime your needle changes positions, there's going to be a catch for the thread. So I'm going to go down. There's one right here. There's one right here above the needle, which it looks like it is a kit. There we go. And now we're ready to thread the needle. Most needle holes either face front to back or side to side. This one faces front to back. Again, I'm going to dampen the end of my thread and thread the needle here. Now, once you have this needle threaded, you want to put the thread under the presser foot by going through the split or break somewhere in your presser foot. Hold on to this thread. You're going to want to turn the flywheel. Let the needle go down, all the way down, and all the way back up. Now, when you pull this thread, it pulls up a loop from the bottom. You can gently pull it, and it brings up your bottom thread. Put them back under the presser foot and pull them away from the machine to the back. All right, we are now officially threaded. If you're lucky enough to get your book with the machine, they will 99% chance there is an explanation for inserting a needle, for threading it, how to draw up your lower thread, how to plug it in, change the light switch, oiling, cleaning. So getting a book is really good. Doesn't mean you can't buy the machine without a book, but it is a good plus. All right, let's test out the stitching. All you need for this step is an old piece of fabric or a scrap of some kind. All right, for this step, you're going to want 2 layers of fabric, and I'm going to place it under the presser foot and put the presser foot down. Now I think we have it set straight stitch, and it looks like we do. All right, I also did notice that this machine has a reverse button, which is a really good plus. All right, we're ready to test this out. Gently push your presser foot. It's feeding through. That's a really good sign. The needle's going up and down. The thread's going through smoothly. So that's a good sign. Okay, we've done a few stitches. Let's lift the presser foot. Sometimes if it feels like it's caught, just run your flywheel just a little bit. Sorry for blocking your view there. Pull this to the back and snip it. All right, let's look at this It looks like a very tight stitch on the bottom and maybe a bigger stitch on top. One tip with when you are troubleshooting any machine, but this is for sewing machines, is change one setting at a time. So I don't like quite how tight this is, and so I'm going to adjust the tension here, which is what holds the tension for the top thread. So I'm going to go, I see that they have these in green, which tells me that's probably like the good spot, and then there's a tiny red check mark there. So I'm going to go to 4 on that. Now this, some other settings I'm not changing, but you could change, is this holds the presser foot down, but that seemed like it was okay. We don't need to change that. We know we're on straight stitch. We know that the zigzag is turned off, and we're on about a 2 to 3, which is a general sewing length for the threading a machine or sewing on a machine. So we're just going to go with it and try this again. So put it in, put the presser foot down, and let's see what it does. Alright, I'm not sure if y'all can see that or not, but it's a much more even stitch. It's nice and tight. So I'm really happy with that. It looks about the same top and bottom. Alright, let's try out another stitch. Let's test the zigzag. So we still keep it on the blue A. We go, let's go maybe a 3 on the zigzag. And we'll test that. Alright. Well, goes back and forth smoothly. Again, always make sure your needle stops in the top position, and if it feels like it's caught, just run your flywheel a little and trim your threads. It looks like a nice tight zigzag. Top and bottom look very similar, and it's a very tight hold as well. Alright, couple things I want to point out. This machine came with a few different little gadgets with it, which is really cool. Looks like there's an extra presser foot. Hopefully the book explains that. Some needle threaders. And it is handy to have these little screwdrivers when you need to undo the needle. Right, well, not this machine. This machine has a nice little hand thing, but things like taking off this if you want to clean out things out, like lint out from underneath there, things like that. So that was really cool. The other thing that I wanted to mention is one thing you're going to want to get, and if your machine doesn't come with a needle in it, you might want to pick up a pack of universal needles. Most machines, unless they state right on them somewhere, will take a universal needle. If you're having trouble with your thread pulling and just being strange after you've checked all the settings, check your needle and just run your fingernail down and feel if you feel any burrs. They're almost microscopic, but you can feel them with the edge of your fingernail. If there's a burr on your needle, it's going to also cause a lot of threading problems and sewing problems. So just go ahead and switch it out for a new needle. That's one thing I troubleshoot quite often. If my machine's just acting a fool, I will put a new needle in it almost right away. And a lot of times that solves my problems. This machine is what we call a free arm machine. And that means that I can put a piece of fabric under here, like something like a sleeve arm that I want to, or a pant leg. And that makes it very easy to get into a tight spot. And these machines are very handy. But for the most part, it's nice to have a big flat surface to work. And this machine came with a free arm table, which is very neat. So that just goes on, and it has a set screw down here that attaches it to the machine and gives you a bit bigger surface to work on, which is very handy. And one last little tip. If you have a sewing machine, it's probably good to purchase some all-purpose machine oil and oil your machine. This is an oil hole. These are oil holes right here. And all you have to do is just let a couple drips go down in. Like that. And some machines will have an oil hole here for this up and down. This one, since it opens, you can just open it and put a drip on the mechanism that goes up and down. Now, you don't need more than a drip or two. You don't, or it'll be dripping down on your fabric. After you've oiled the machine, one thing you want to do is, of course, wipe up any oil that's out on the outside. But you can also sew on a piece of paper towel just to pick up anything that would drip down, or use a scrap of fabric to catch any oil. Another spot you also can oil is down under here, and one hint with that is be sure that you take out your bobbin before you do that. And again, one drip of oil in here, as you can see how the pieces move. You don't really need a lot of oil, but you can just put like one drip in there like that and run it just a little bit. Make sure you've pulled your thread back up. Place your bobbin back in. It's clipped in. And pull your thread up, down through your presser foot to the back. And again, in this case, I would sew on an old scrap of fabric or a paper towel. And you, my friend, are now ready to sew. Happy crafting!